going live.
Here. Boom, boom, boom.
All right. We're going to go live here in a second. For anybody watching post live stream, this is a little dead spot. We're going to start here in a minute. So we're going to tweet this out and everything.
Let me open it up. I can post it in all the sleeper shots. And Indy. Oh, I can't. Can you send me the live link? Because it won't let me jump into the live on our account.
Yeah. Yeah, well. Come on. Come on. All right. Gonna send this to you, post it to Twitter and everything, and then go live. There's that.
That didn't link how I wanted it to, but whatever. Go to Discord.
Are you working on posting in the Discord?
I'm doing it now. Yeah. Which one do you usually post it in? Fantasy football talk?
Yeah. Ooh, Geno Smith got wheels. All right, you ready? I'm going to hit live. Let me just.
Yes, sir. Continue. All right.
Hold on 1 second. And boom. What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Tap. My name is Michael, and this is John, and we are live here on YouTube for Week 8 waiver wire targets and additions. It's going to be a great show. We also have streaming options. It was a great week of football, unless you're a Dolphins fan like us. Then it stinks. But overall, good week of fantasy football and regular football. How you doing, John?
Wasn't even a bad week for a Dolphins fan unless you were watching the game the whole way through or following that roller coaster of the ups and downs. But a lot of teams had to deal with a similar situation this week. We saw the Chiefs go down, look terrible. The Jets lose their rookie quarterback, and Sam Darnold get benched for a where was he at? He was in the
he's in the XFL, right?
XFL or the AAF? I don't even remember the two leagues anymore.
Could have been in the AAF, but either way, it was not the NFL. It was not the CFL. It was it was one of those other leagues, and he was balling. It was the AAF because he was on the Orlando team, and the Orlando team was doing very well.
There you go.
So Anyways, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to ask us any questions while we go along. We will get to those and answer those for you. If you could hit that sub button, smash that like button, hit that little bell icon, we would truly, truly appreciate it. John.
Yes, sir.
Let's jump into our quarterbacks additions, our first streaming options and waiver wire targets this week. Let's go. Hit them, hit them, hit them.
All right, guys. So for your first waiver wire streaming option quarterback of the week, we're going to take the guy fresh off of his bye week. We're going to go with Trevor Lawrence this week. Going to be going up against the Seattle Seahawks, currently playing against the New Orleans Saints as we speak right now. So hopefully he's sitting at home watching some tape, seeing how he's going to expose this defense that's been allowing over 20 points to the quarterback per week. Hopefully we see Jameis Winston able to take advantage of it, and we're going to be able to see Trevor Lawrence take advantage of it again next week. He's currently owned in only 35.2% of leagues, and he's starting to hit a solid stride so far in the NFL, and I'm expecting some good play from him coming up in the future. He looked great against the Dolphins in London last time he played.
Everybody does, John. Everybody looks great against the Dolphins, okay? But yes, I do agree with you. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be obviously he's going to be a great quarterback in my opinion, but they're throwing the ball a ton and he can also lean on the run game when necessary from himself. He can scramble a little bit, but also from James Robinson, which will help him open up that passing game. He's not going to have DJ Chark the rest of the season, but it is what it is. He still has LaVisca and Marvin Jones he can lean on. I think Trevor Lawrence going up against this bad Seattle Seahawks defense could be, it could be a top tier quarterback this week.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it last week. Guys like Tua, who have been playing the hottest when it comes to a fantasy outlook, can really excel against teams that are just allowing quarterbacks to really have a great day against them. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be on that track. If you're looking for someone else who's just looking in a great matchup this week, hit up Kirk Cousins going up against Dallas this week, a team that just likes to let shootouts happen. And we've seen Kirk Cousins be an extremely confident quarterback so far this season. We let you guys know early on in this offseason that he is someone you should be picking up as at least not a late round quarterback, as a quarterback 2 for your team. Even with the bye week this week, he's still ranked at quarterback 13 in the season. So someone who's very, very solid so far this year. Look for him to have another great week, coming off a great week against Carolina.
100%. He has finished as a quarterback 1 3 times this year. And week 1, he actually finished as quarterback 14, so just outside the top 12 there. So yes, I agree. I think this is going to be a great week, great matchup for Kirk Cousins. And really just that offense there for the Vikings.
Absolutely. Now, if you want to get a little riskier with it, Carson Wentz is coming off a really, really great week. I don't think that you should be looking the other way when you look at Carson Wentz this week. If you need to stream a quarterback, let's say your guy's injured, or you run Lamar Jackson or Derek Carr with the Raiders and the Ravens both on bye this week.
Yep.
Carson Wentz against Tennessee might be able to get you along pretty well. I mean, last week did look a little scary if you're watching Tennessee's defense. Patrick Mahomes not even able to make a strong dent against them, but Wentz did look very solid against the 49ers last week, minus a questionable fumble/interception that happened in about the third, fourth quarter, if I remember correct. But I think that Carson Wentz can get you by this week.
I agree. He's only had 1 week outside the top 21 quarterbacks this year. So, I mean, he's been consistent. Other than that 1 week, and he's finally starting to come into his own. I think get a little more comfortable in that system. Him and Michael Pittman are starting to also get a nice little connection there. Even in the monsoon that was yesterday up there in San Fran, they were able to connect. And then he was also able to get it done with his legs. People, obviously, since his knee injury and surgeries, people may have forgotten. He's definitely not the scrambler he was prior to that, but he still has it in him too to get in the end zone if necessary, or pick up some yards. So I like Carson Wentz, as a streaming option.
All right. Speaking of people that can get it along with their legs, don't be afraid to take a shot on Daniel Jones this week. Going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, team that's allowing 28 points to the quarterback per week over the last 4 weeks, have been the second best team to be playing that quarterback against. Daniel Jones, again, coming off a very, very solid week, hopefully hitting a stride, even though he had most of his receivers out for the game, losing out on Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney and Kenny Golladay. Kadarius Toney likely coming back this week. Sterling Shepard probable. I think that Daniel Jones is in for another solid week, even able to use his legs and look somewhat like a rushing quarterback here and there.
Yes, I agree with you there. I think, in my opinion, this is my least favorite of the four. However, I think if you're desperate and none of the other guys are there, I think you can go out and get him and stream him if you have Derek Carr or Lamar Jackson, because they are on bye, the Ravens and the Raiders. And Wentz, Cousins, or Lawrence is in there, I think you can use Daniel Jones. So should be a good option, good enough to get you by, should be able to help you get a dub this week.
All right. Let's jump over to probably the number one waiver wire ad on the week. Running back Kenneth Gainwell for the Philadelphia Eagles looked really good on that little reception touchdown that he got this week coming from Kyler Murray or Jalen Hurts. So with Miles Sanders day to day at the moment, expect Kenneth Gainwell to take over a sizable share, especially if Sanders comes into the game banged up or out completely. If Sanders is out, take a look at Boston Scott. Barely owned in any leagues. Gainwell's owned in 26.3, but understand you're going to have to pay a strong fab budget for him. It is going to be a very, very competitive grab this week. And then
I think both of them will be.
Do you? I'm not really interested. Personally, I'm not really interested in Boston Scott unless it's like a huge grab, like a huge dive.
I think, in my opinion, at least, Boston Scott's going to be used a little bit more than people think. Obviously, PPR league, which is what we play mostly, Kenneth Gainwell's the guy. But Scott did have more rushing attempts. So just by 2. But I still think there's going to be a role. There for Boston Scott. And I think people will overbid for him and overpay for him. Don't sleep on him. I think Kenneth Gainwell is definitely the grab here. But I wouldn't sleep on Boston Scott though entirely.
Yeah, just make sure you're not overpaying for him because there could be limited role there for both of them. With how they've been using the running back so far this season, it is still the Eagles running back group.
What price tag would you put on both of these guys?
Boston Scott, I wouldn't spend up for it all.
You wouldn't put $1, 5%?
No, because realistically, if you're playing him, he's a very risky flex play at that.
John, there's a lot of injuries in this league right now.
I feel like he got some better options. I don't, I'm not writing him off completely, but if he doesn't get grabbed up in the waivers and I'm looking for someone about halfway through the weeks, I'd grab him then. Gainwell, on the other hand, if you're in that position where you're looking to spend on Boston Scott, I would just spend up more for Gainwell. 25% for a guy who should be a running back too. We're halfway through the season. 25% of your remaining budget.
That's a lot.
It's a running back needy league.
Yes, but remember they didn't even use Miles Sanders. I do like Kenneth Gainwell in the passing game though. So I would comfortably spend like 10 to 15% on him, and then like 1 to 3% on Boston Scott if I'm desperate. Wilson commented. What's up, Wilson? Also, KBKC commented. He said John was spot on with CJ Ozama. Shout out KBKC for the love.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
But Wilson says, you sure you want the number 2 or 3 running back for the Eagles when the number 1 couldn't do anything? I get it.
Partly my point.
I get it. Scott. I think with both of these guys, they're going to be, that's why 10 to 15% for Gainwell, 1 to 3% for Boston Scott. Very minimal. You can't really trust them. Kenneth Gainwell's main value is going to be through the air, passing, receiving. So, I think he's definitely the go-to guy, but I don't know how much he actually produces unless he gets in the end zone.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Next running back we got on the list right now. He's highly owned, but when we were expecting Damian Williams to at most get a 50 or at best get a 50-50 carry share in that backfield this week for the Chicago Bears, Khalil Herbert completely dominated that role and did a very strong job at doing that. He's looking to have at least another week of that backfield to himself before David Montgomery comes back. So who knows if David Montgomery's even going to be coming back and taking over that backfield by himself. With as well as Herbert's been producing, I think there's a possibility we see some sort of a committee role coming into it. Herbert being a rookie, maybe we even see Montgomery traded away as they might not even need him anymore. So
that's a
far stretch of a conspiracy, but
that is a stretch.
If you guys still have Herbert on your waivers, I think you should be taking a shot for him.
100%.
60% of leagues, though.
Yeah, 100%. He's more than likely gone in your league, but 100%. I think Khalil Herbert is if he's there, I would rather have him over like either of the two guys we just mentioned. But I'd spend a higher fab budget on him. At that point, I'd probably spend 20. Got to remember, keep a little bit. You want to keep a little bit of fab for the playoffs and stuff. We're only halfway through the season. I know I have blown through some fab in a couple leagues. Woo! But just keep an eye out on that. Make sure it's not infinite. But yeah, I love Khalil Herbert. He's good. He's good. Good running back. Getting the touches. He's clearly, even with Damian Williams there, he is that go-to running back.
There you go.
Wilson, he says two things. He says when D-Mont comes back, it will be a 60-40 timeshare. I think we'll see D-Mont get a little bit more. I think we'll probably be about 70-30, 65-35. But Khalil Herbert's definitely making a name for himself right now. And then he also said, do you think the Jets are a better team now with Flacco in charge?
I actually do.
I don't think it's going to make a big difference.
I don't see. Yeah.
Slightly better, I could say, because you have a veteran quarterback who probably won't make these errant mistakes. Just throws down the field into triple coverage for, just because he can. But I also don't really see him winning games. So they also lost a couple defensive key pieces.
They probably beat us once.
They probably will, 100%.
Yeah.
We're shit. We're shit. We're dog shit.
Just not good.
Yeah. Real quick, guys, smash that like button if you can. Hit that sub button. We are going to move on to the wide receivers. And I can't believe this guy is owned as little as he is. Kadarius Toney only owned in 48% of leagues. I think he is a smash home run out of the park pickup. He could be a league winner this year.
With the health of the Giants receivers these past few weeks, yeah. I mean, if he can stay healthy, then he's looking at a possible wide receiver 2 or even a wide receiver 1 role on that team week in, week out, with the health of Galladay being so shifty, Shepard being so shifty. I mean, even Pettis came in and looked amazing. I think Daniel Jones is going to light up Kadarius Toney the rest of the season. I love Toney. Yeah,
me too. He is big play guy. Get the ball into his hands and he can make something happen. I mean, shoot, on that, like I said, the first drive of the Rams game, three catches 2 weeks ago, and unfortunately got hurt. He was looking at a double-digit catch game again.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Chris says, what did Flacco do last year?
It was so forgettable, It's just so forgettable. I forget.
He had 41. He was quarterback 41. For the Jets, he was actually on the Jets, had 134 pass attempts, 3 interceptions, 6 touchdowns, played in 5 games. So not much.
On a per game basis, he was absolutely terrible. Probably finding himself as a low end quarterback too, except for 1 week against the Patriots in week 9. Was able to throw for 3 touchdowns, but outside of that was looking pretty crap.
And then we've got another question. Is it worth stashing Marlon Mack or Deshaun Watson?
If you've got the roster space, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. 100%. I think both of those guys get traded before the deadline. So yeah, definitely. If you like, but like John said, if you have the roster spot.
Absolutely.
Key words right there. Let's get on over to our next one. Rashad Bateman didn't have, the fantasy impact we would have hoped for. If he would have gotten in the end zone, it would have been a great day. But he had a very good day. 3 catches, 80 yards, hit that over. Did he? What was the catches? Was it 2.5?
It was 3. It was 4. It was 4. It was 3.5. He needed to hit 4. He didn't hit it.
Dang. Well,
you stole my yardage bet, and I blew it on the
nothing.
catches.
I didn't steal nothing. Rashad Bateman, though, listen, he's going into a bye week. But if you have the roster space, I think you can get him on the low. He's only owned in 19% of leagues. This would be the time to get him because not many people are going to be looking at him because he's going on the bye. Check him out. See if he's there. Consistent targets, 6 targets, 2 weeks in a row.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. Part of the reason he didn't really perform this week was Baltimore's offense just did not look in sync whatsoever.
Not at all.
Lamar didn't look bad. They just weren't finishing drives. Players were dropping passes. I mean, Lamar had less than a 50% completion rating for one of the first times in his career. It was a pretty rough day offensively for Baltimore, and it's been 2 weeks in a row now. I'm a little scared to see what happens going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Other than Lamar Jackson, I don't know. I mean, Marquise Brown he had the long touchdown catch, which helped his week. So let's get on over to our next one. Elijah Moore only owned in 12.5% of leagues. We were just talking about Flacco. Might add some stability, a little bit of that veteran stability to this Jets offense. What are you spending on him? What's the deal here, John?
I am spending 2 to 3%. $1 or $2. I don't think there's going to be a big grab for him. He's not coming off of an amazing day. He's still a Jets receiver. There is other competition around him, but I do think he's someone that's still developing more and more into a role that we're going to see expanded before the season's end. And I think that with that offense or that defense just getting trashed to a point where they're going to be playing garbage time offense week in and week out, you're going to want a couple pieces on there that you might have to be able to flex in on a desperate week and hoping that garbage time comes through. And I think Elijah Moore is someone that's going to be starting to, like I said, take that step forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think he could be one of those rookie wide receivers who adds value down the stretch. He had a long run. Doesn't have the stat up here in front of me, but he had 19 yard rushing attempt, which was designed for him. So they're going to get the ball into his hands in any way possible. He was one of my favorite receivers coming out of college, but he went to the Jets. So boo. Let's get on over to Christian. Okay, we'll do these guys together because I think these guys are very, very important.
Okay. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I would spend the same amount of fab on them. And doesn't matter which one I get. In my opinion, it doesn't matter which one I get. Christian Kirk and AJ Green. Christian Kirk is currently owned in 32.7% of leagues. AJ Green is owned in 38.2%. Their stats are almost identical. It's crazy. They're both consistent-ish or consistent, and they're getting equal share. I mean, it's absolutely wild. Here's their stat line for the entire year. This is Christian Kirk's. 36 targets, 30 reception, 408 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Here's AJ Green's. 35 targets, 24 catches, 406 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Nearly identical.
So which one are you more interested in grabbing, Mike?
Honestly, I don't care. Either one. I'm being dead serious. I do want one of them on my team. I think both can be flex options. Rondale Moore, I'm not, I don't think he's worthy of a pickup. He's getting some targets and things like that, but it's more sporadic. These two guys have been consistent, and they are 2A and 2B, I guess, in this offense. Even with
fair.
Zach Ertz
That's
there,
fair.
DeAndre Hopkins was solid. I mean, I just think that owning a piece of this offense is really what you want. This is one of the most high-powered offenses in the league.
What kind of fab budget are you spending?
I will spend if I'm needy for a flex option. I will spend up to 10%. But yeah, up to 10%. Just because I like the Cardinals' offense.
Okay, I'm kind of back to that 2 to 3%. These guys have been riding the waivers with the same production that they've had. I'm not expecting it to be a competitive grab. I mean, obviously, I'm going for Tony or Bateman before I'm going for either of them, honestly. And I think we said about 5% for both of those. So I'm going to say 2 to 3 again for Kirk and Green.
I would definitely rather have Tony. I don't think I put a fab budget on him.
Okay.
I'd spend 25%.
You spent 25 on Tony?
On Tony, yeah.
Oh,
I think
wow.
he's a league winner. I truly do. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I think having a piece of this Cardinals offense is you should have a piece. I think they're both going to be consistent, solid flexes.
I think one of your best receiver flex streaming options for this week, and this is a great streaming option because he's probably only going to be valid for 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Allen Lazard. Devontae Adams caught COVID, not going to be playing on Thursday. Actually, don't know if he caught it, but he's on the list. Exempt, not going to be playing this week. Lazard last season when Devontae Adams was not playing was the one that was filling in very, very well for the, 1-2 games before Allen Lazard got hurt?
Yes.
I think it was like weeks 2 and 3 last year.
Yep, weeks 2 and 3. He put up a solid 6 catch, 146 yards, 1 touchdown in week 3. Week 2 was not too great, but week 1 was very good. And Marquez Valdes-Scantling isn't a lock to return this week. So also got to remember that the only other competition he'll have is Robert Tonyan and Randall Cobb. Equanimous St. Brown might get involved a couple plays, but I think this will be Allen Lazard's week.
Yeah, I think he's going to be very solid this week. It's a great opportunity for him to do it. Before we move on too fast, I do just want to address there's 2 questions sitting in the chat. Wilson asked us, being that we're Miami fans, would you agree to the Watson trade of all the picks they have to give up?
No.
No, I think we're both on the same page that Tua is not the only issue here, and he might not even be the issue. And then he followed that up. Do you feel like Mike Davis will get less carries now in Atlanta with Patterson's stock up, especially after what happened last week with how they use Patterson against Miami?
Yeah, we've been seeing it. We've been seeing it. Since before their bye week when they played. I believe it was the Jets. Patterson, if I'm not mistaken, I just want to pull it up before I speak. Yeah, Patterson had more rushing attempts than Mike Davis.
Yeah, I think that was the key part of the question. They seem to be using Patterson as the primary running back there, only allowing Davis to get those 4 touches.
So yeah, definitely 100%. Mike Davis is no more. No Moss Mike Davis. That's why if you're a listener, before the year, you didn't draft Mike Davis. Let's get on over to our favorite positions, the tight end, baby. We'll start off with John's guy of the week. He called this. Love it. CJ Ozama. I tweeted out from our account because this week the tight ends were going crazy. Can every week be National Tight End Day? Can we declare that? Because all of them balled. They had a very good week all around. Foster Moreau filling in for Darren Waller did very well.
Yeah, let's talk about something interesting. I think this is one of the first weeks in the past 2 years we haven't had Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Darren Waller, or George Kittle finish as the top 10 or top 5 tight end of the week. I know obviously 2 of those guys were injured, so that doesn't count. But we saw a lot of streaming and backup or streaming and benchable tight ends really, really ball this week. I think Travis Kelce finished as tight end 7 and led the elite group.
Maybe I don't have that in front of me. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. A lot of these, not no name, but less fantasy significance or significant players, got their time to shine. CJ Ozama being probably the top dog. Kyle Pitts doing very well. If he got it in the end zone, man, it would have been whew.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Mike Gesicki balled out. Zach Ertz came off a great day. Even Robert Tonyan getting one of those touchdowns that he has to make his days off of. And then, Kelce was at 7. Hawkinson down at 13. And Mark Andrews down at 22.
Damn. Let's see. So CJ Ozama, pick him up. He's we kind of got off track there. He's only owned in 10% of leagues. I mean, he's also a target here. He's not getting a massive amount of targets, but listen to this. He only has one pass this year. 2 passes. I apologize. 2 passes this year that were not caught, that were thrown to him.
Yes, sir.
And he's caught 17 and 19 for 256 yards. That's just over 13 or just under 13 and a half or 15 yards a carry. He's gotten in the end zone 5 times.
Absolutely.
I like it. He's also got a great matchup. New York Jets. They just lost one of their linebackers.
All right. If you guys are looking to really stream a tight end that might not be someone you want to hold on to too long, it's going to be Tyler Conklin. So far this year, he's had some flashes, but someone who's been getting targeted very, very frequently, only having 1 game falling below 4 targets and 2 catches. Last time he played before his bye week against Carolina, was able to go for 71 yards on only 3 of those catches, targeted 5 times. Has seen a game where he got 7 catches, 8 targets, and a touchdown. So someone that does get that volume. And I think that if you're in a desperate situation, you can stream him going up against Dallas, possibly finding himself in the end zone again this week.
Yeah, agreed. Irv Smith, I've said it when we talked about Conklin in the past. Irv Smith was supposed to have a great breakout year. Conklin is filling in pretty well. So I do think he is a feasible streaming option for you, especially this week. Let's go over to Cole Kmet. This is probably, if I had to rank the 4 that we're going to talk about, I'm putting him last.
Yeah,
I just
agreed.
I don't trust the offense. But if you're desperate, going up against San Francisco, I think you can use him and pick him up. He's only owned in 9% of leagues. Don't spend any fab on him or anything like that. But I do think that, you could use him if desperate.
Yeah.
And
then before we do our last one, Mike, someone that we didn't include, and I just realized it, and tell me if I'm wrong here. But I'm actually going to recommend people go check out and see if Pat Freiermuth is available for them. As soon as Juju went out for the season last week, we saw him the last time he played, he got targeted 7 times for 7 catches. Was used very heavily in that offense that week, and he's only owned in 2.2% of leagues. So if you've got the availability to grab him, someone that might be a streamable option for you, and with that limited offensive weapons there for the rest of the season, could be someone that gets a little bit of consistency.
Ben loves him in the red zone. And our final tight end this week, and you're not going to use him this week, but somebody to keep an eye on, somebody to see if you can get for the low, because he does have major upside. And that's Logan Thomas. See if he is he's still considered week to week. He is eligible to come off IR, but he could pay major dividends, especially if you have a spot on your roster to hold him for a couple weeks, get him this week for, as cheap as possible, up to 5%. It's probably the most I'd be willing to pay for him, because you might have to, let him sit there, but get him now before his price and his fab cost goes up.
Absolutely agree with you. Like you said, 51% owned, meaning that he's readily available. Drafted into the season as like a tight end 7 or 8, depending on what rank when you drafted. And we saw Ricky Seals-Jones come in automatically and get that volume share that he was getting before. I expect it to be happening once he gets back in.
Yeah. So let's see. We have one question before we move on. It is in regards to tight ends. Before we move on to the defense, and that is, should I drop Dawson Knox with a small bench since I have Kyle Pitts?
I say yeah. I think you can play Kyle Pitts rest of season. You're not going to get a great game every game, but now that he's finished his bye week, unless an injury happens, you've got a tight end rest of season.
100% agree with you. There is no reason for you to carry 2 tight ends with Kyle Pitts. I talked about it, and John talked about it at the very beginning of the season. It was going to take a little bit for him to get into a rhythm. Now that he's gotten into that rhythm, now that he's, he's getting a connection there with Matt Ryan, like 100% trusts him. So now that he is going to be a top 4 to 3 tight end rest of season. And he, like John said, you're getting an added bonus in the fact that his bye has already happened. So you don't even have to worry about it. I would not. If my tight end, if I have a solid top 5, top 8 tight end and their bye has already happened, there is no need for me, especially to carry another tight end, especially one with an injury right now. So there you go. All right, let's get to our defenses and then wrap it up. We have got 2 for you this week. One should be available for your for you to pick up. First one is the Bengals going up against the Jets. Great matchup for them, and they're only under 27% of leagues. So I'm all over it. Not a new quarterback. Well, yeah, I guess new quarterback because the system's not the same as last year. So yes, Flacco did play for the Jets, but it is a new system there.
Yeah, I think they're probably one of the best streaming options on the week. And not really much else to say about it. The Jets are just someone that's going to be turning over the ball or not doing a lot on offense. Bengals defense been looking good.
Yeah, and then, I think. Oops, sorry, real quick before we move on. I do think that it sucks that Zach Wilson is not the quarterback there. There might not. I'm not saying that Joe Flacco's not going to turn the ball over. I don't think he's going to turn the ball over as much, or there's not as much opportunity for it. But overall, I think it's a great play.
I agree with you there. So we did add another team onto here, and when we added them, we noticed an interesting stat. The Cowboys defense are actually ranked number 3 in average points per game when it comes to scoring in a fantasy defense. And they're only owned in 49.2% of leagues. This week, they're going to be going up against Minnesota in what could be a big game. I don't know that you should be starting them this week. I do think Kirk Cousins is liable to throw an interception to Trayvon Diggs with how he's been playing. But with this shootout on board, I don't know you're trusting on that, but I do think they're a defense that you could roster and play on good matchups. They have been having a lot of turnovers. Their problem is just total yards and points against, which in fantasy, depending on how your defense's points are structured, it might not hurt you too much. Turnovers can mean a lot more.
Yep. 100%. So yeah, I go see if they're out there. They're another team. No bye. They just got off their bye. You can use them rest of the season. So I love looking for that, especially now. If you can, trade or move a piece right now for one of the teams that are coming off bye that has already had their bye, I think you do it. You do it because if you can use a top, for instance, if you can use a top wide receiver, and I know this is not on topic, but if you can use a top wide receiver, or if you have one, and trade them for another top wide receiver who has already had their bye, like CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper, preferably CeeDee Lamb, you don't have to worry about the bye the rest of the year. That's the time to think about it now. You have a top tier wide receiver for all 16, 17 weeks, whatever you guys play. So think of that. But all right, guys, that's my TED Talk. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you got any last minute questions, send them in real quick. John, I have the Seahawks plus 4.5 and plus 5.5. I also have the over in this game, which is not looking good. 41. It's 10 points right now, almost ending the second quarter. So
How'd
also, if you could,
your parlay end up, or
God,
both of them?
fuck, got killed. I think I lost 3. I don't even know. After the Dolphins lost, I fucking threw it all away. So,
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, I don't see any questions coming in. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're at 50 subscribers. Thank you all so much. We truly, truly appreciate it. Hit the little bell icon. We are done. We are done here. We are going to have, what are we going to have tomorrow?
Tomorrow, this will be released.
Yeah, I guess tomorrow this will be released. So you guys got a little sneak peek. The following day, we will do our special segment, special show. We've been doing buy sells, players who trade forward, trade away, things like that. So keep an eye out for that. And then, of course, I can't wait for the matchup on Thursday. So that's going to be fun.
All right, man. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we